When are we gonna hit it? When are we gonna hit it?
We gonna hit it right now. Mac.
Oh my god, I just died.
Mac laptop? MacBook is what I meant to say. Sorry, it's clearly not mine. It's my husband's. But I use it to record for GarageBand. But it is older. So anyways, that just got slaughtered. Which is not appropriate for what I'll be talking about today. Or appropriate.
Oh, okay. Let me say again. Hey guys, this is the Red Rum and Red Wine podcast. The podcast where we talk about murder, mystery, and mishaps. Here's one of them. Hi. Hello. I'm snacking on some watermelon, and apparently I'm about to fucking... I honestly don't know how this one's ending, and the part where we got, I'm like, fuck. Okay, yeah, if we don't finish the story tonight, I'm gonna end up Googling it. So
No.
I'm glad we got it figured out.
We're back.
I wouldn't have really Googled it. Did I ever say my name? Hi, I'm Kristen. Shit. I don't think I did.
And I'm Sara.
Yes. Sorry, we're just it's a big major deja vu because we have done exactly this.
We were a third way done and now we're starting all over again.
I know you had just gotten to the good part, but it's okay. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's fine. So I did want to say one thing before we get into our drinks and whatnot. But so before we hop into Sarah's story, I wanted to hop in real quick and say a little bit about my story from last week. So I did end up looking a little into the schizophrenia topic because I know I was just saying so much random shit. I know that 90% of it was probably wrong, and it was probably mostly true. So though you do, I was right in the sense that you do get schizophrenia pretty much in your earlier adult, late teens. It doesn't really come in like years or anything like that. It's really rare for you to get it like any time in your late adulthood, or if you were to be like early teens. It's super rare, and it doesn't often happen, but it comes in the sense of like you may notice some of the signs or you may have none at all, but either way it comes in early 20s, and from what I read, it can peak in the 21 to 25 area range, which is what age Alan was in when the crime was committed. So I just thought it was a little interesting fact. So I wanted to throw in before we hop on.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, I knew it was wrong. I was like, I should probably say something because I can't.
Although he wasn't diagnosed schizophrenic, right? But that was very plausible.
One doctor, one psychiatrist did agree that, or I guess diagnose him with schizophrenia, but then you had 3 other psychiatrists that were like, no, he just has antisocial personality disorder. So it's really, and that's, I think, it's just like up to the professional that you visit, what you have, like
the court wants to
one
believe.
doctor. Yeah, like I went to one doctor and I had depression, so it's just,
well,
everyone else. Oh, now it's your turn to save me. What are you drinking tonight?
Oh, right. Sorry. My social cues have been completely ruined.
Yeah, thank you, COVID.
Thank you. So, and obviously Zoom cues are a little harder. But anyways, I am drinking Lagunitas IPA.
Yum.
Good old.
I'm drinking a White Claw.
Good old White Claw. Ain't no lies when you're drinking claws, baby. Well, you're going to need a White Claw or two because I know we say like every case we talk about, every story we tell, they're all fucked up, they're all sad. But this one today, whenever you're listening, this one is sad. And I just say that because it involves old people.
Just the age range.
It's like they've lived such a full life. Just let them live a little longer. Jesus Christ.
I know that you said they have like grandkids and whatnot, but when you said their age, I was like, whoa, they actually like they're
I haven't said it yet.
They're older. I know you haven't, but it's fine. I didn't say it either. But it's just like, yeah, they're older than my grandparents. So I was just like, whoa, they really have like lived such a long life.
Right.
And I'm about to go see my grandparents tomorrow. Oh my God.
I didn't say the title yet, right? Okay.
No.
So, sorry. This is the Unsolved Murders of Russell and Shirley Dermond. Case takes place in the Lake Oconee area of Putnam County in Georgia. It's about 80 miles east of Atlanta, Georgia, if y'all didn't know, because I didn't.
I didn't either, thank you.
It's just south of the Oconee National Forest, which I didn't know there was one either.
Honestly, I haven't heard of that.
National forests are cool, so.
Yeah, I heard. I didn't hear. Okay, I fucking watched a TikTok. Let's be honest about the Roosevelt covering up a conspiracy about like some creature living in the national parks. That's like the reason why so many Americans or like people go missing in national parks each year.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go get missing. I don't have a life that I love. It's fine.
So Lake Oconee is a popular recreational destination, and most of it is surrounded by upscale communities, nice neighborhoods, a lot of prestigious golf courses. The area we'll be talking about is definitely one of those more upscale ones. So also, I just thought I'd mention that, like, about the shape of the lake, because when I think of lakes, and a lot of the lakes I've gone throughout my life have been more round, oval, like more of a circular
like a
basis. Pool. But this one is, it runs long, and it has kind of like tree branch shapes running off of the sides, like different coves.
Oh, like a river?
It looks like a river, but it's a lake because it's not a river.
Like a river attached to it.
It doesn't flow through, my dude.
Yes. Look at us giving you that education.
Yeah, because it's not a river, okay?
Shapes and sizes, duh, and water formations.
Hello?
Yes.
So I just thought I'd mention that to give you an idea of the shape.
The shapes and the sizes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for that lovely lesson, Miss I almost said your other last name, Miss Scowden.
Thank you,
Mrs. Scowden.
Ms. Lake Oconee is where Russell and Shirley Dermond resided. Russell and Shirley met when they were in college and immediately fell in love. One of their kids described their relationship literally as love at first sight. So they had 4 kids, and a lot of articles that I read said 3, but we do find out at the time of this crime they had 3, but they did have a son that passed away years previously, and I'll mention that later. So they had 4 kids,
Okay.
So I don't know really why a lot of sources say 3. It's kind of odd, but unless I'm totally wrong.
Bother to. No.
Well, because I'm thinking unless sources are wrong on how many kids were alive at the time of Russell and Shirley's death.
Oh, and it was just 3 total.
Right. But because only 2 were so I got most of my information from an episode of Real Life Nightmare. Sorry, I was like,
How do you spell their last name?
Dermond. And 2 of their sons were featured in the show.
4 children.
4. Okay. Because, like I said, unless I wasn't paying attention, but I was paying attention.
No, it's fucking articles like total lack of concern for the fucking victims, honestly. It's just totally such a disgusting...
one whole person.
It's really... Yeah, it really took me starting a podcast to kind of notice that trend that, like, we really just focus on serial killers and have nothing to say about the victims. And it's truly, like, you could fucking spare them a fucking paragraph.
Well, in this case, like, the least you can do is, like, get that kind of stuff right.
Right, that fact.
That's all you have to go on. There's, like, not a whole lot that you can report about.
I mean, it's kind of your fucking job, maybe. Like, that's what you get paid to do. Maybe do it well.
It's not like it's a drastic difference. Like, it's not exaggerating or under exaggerating. It's just bad bad reporting. Yeah. So anyways, end of story.
It's our jobs to fuck up. It's their jobs to get it right.
Right.
You know?
Or not end of story.
You don't come here for the actual facts. You just come here for a good time.
Right. But I try to be true, dudes, on my facts.
We do. No, we do.
But I'm not perfect. So no way, Jose. 4 kids, 9 grandchildren amongst the 4. The Dermond family was described as all-American. Just kind of heartwarming, you know. Shirley was a stay-at-home mom, you know.
And that's my mom's name, too.
Shout out, Shirley.
Love you, Shirley.
You know, Shirley was a homemaker. And, you know, it said that she always kept the house spotless. And she was just, like, a great mom and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Russell fought in World War II, so he was a veteran of World War II. After that, he kind of got into the corporate life, but then later in his career in the 1980s, him and his family moved, I believe, to the Atlanta, Georgia area because he became a franchisee of Hardee's, because I read that the Hardee's he franchised was in that Atlanta area. I don't know if they exactly moved there, but I know they moved to Georgia. And they, at that time, didn't have the lake house that we talk about. So,
yeah.
And if you don't know what Hardee's is, it's a fast food restaurant chain. It's very similar, I believe, to Carl's Jr. because they're owned by the same corporation. Their font and the coloring of their font is all the same. And so I'm not completely sure how many locations Russell owned of Hardee's, but it was enough. It was definitely enough to, like, provide a good living, I believe, for his family, because I believe it takes money like that to make, and then you make more money, I think. That's how it works.
You need money to make money and
He did end up selling a couple of his franchises, and that's when he retired. So he at least had to have a couple to sell a couple. But
yeah, and that's definitely he for sure provided.
Oh, hell yeah. And that's just
a good housewife.
Because she didn't obviously
company. Yeah. Damn, yeah. A few franchise. Oh, yeah. How much was their home? Does it say?
Their lake house I'm about to mention, I'll just, that's my next bullet. So, when he sells these franchises, he retires, and that's when he and Shirley built their 3,200 square foot home on Lake Oconee. They lived in the cul-de-sac in a gated neighborhood called Great Waters. All the homes in this area are big and expensive. It's one of those neighborhoods where you like build your homes so you can kind of make it as grand or not. They probably have standards, but you know, you can make it more grand if
like
you want to.
custom homes,
so,
yeah.
Very nice. Although the neighborhood and the houses are seen as, you know, fancy or grand, the neighborhood in itself and the people are described as quaint and quiet. Because, you know, think about it. This is a neighborhood on a lake. A lot of people there don't live there full time. It's their homes there are their summer homes, you know, their vacation homes. So
How fucking
of course
nice.
it's quiet. That sounds bomb. Okay. And a lot of
Of course these $1 million homes are empty because the people don't have so much money that they don't live in them year round. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One day. I'm just kidding.
You know, like, just some nice audio equipment.
Like just working, maybe a not elderly Mac top.
Yeah.
So here's when we get into the body of the story here, of the case.
Oh my God, you're
sorry, or like maybe it's like the.
Who's
it's the
to
intro.
Say that you're not the dad of this relationship?
It's the first paragraph.
Jokes.
On May 3rd, 2014, there was a neighborhood Kentucky Derby party. It was being hosted by one of the neighborhoods, and it was an evening thing, you know, around 6:30 p.m. And Russell and Shirley RSVP'd, but they didn't show up to the party. So this was obviously noticed by their friends and neighbors. It was kind of noted, but no one immediately worried. They just figured, oh, maybe something came up, you know, no big deal.
Yeah, that's not something that I guess people would typically like call the cops over, you know?
But
shit comes up.
But about 4 days go by and the couple hadn't been seen.
Oh.
What?
No, yeah, 4 days, yeah. No,
said,
that's
that's
concerning.
Like, it did happen.
No. I was like, oh no, that changes things. Yeah,
I thought I heard my neighbor's motorcycle also, and I thought you heard it, but
no.
Yeah, sorry. About 4 days go by and the couple hadn't been seen or heard from. They weren't answering their phone calls. So their neighbors became concerned because it seemed like a really close-knit neighborhood community. You know, obviously if this lady was hosting a Kentucky Derby party, they probably had a lot of different little parties and events going on, and
shindigs.
From what I gathered, I mean, there's not a whole bunch of young people. I don't think that would be owning homes and living in that community. So it was older people.
At least not me.
Yeah, so it was older people.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of like lifestyle. So this couple was, I think, pretty active. And so their neighbors became concerned when they hadn't seen them, heard from them, talked to them. So the woman who actually hosted the Kentucky Derby party, I think, was in touch with, you know, another couple that were neighbors also of the Dermond couple. And that neighbor couple actually went to Russell and Shirley's house to check in on them. This part, so like how they kind of gained entry into the Dermond home is a little gray throughout my research. But apparently they did have roses with them because they thought maybe Russell and Shirley were sick or something, you know?
I like just knowing what you're probably about to say, like that.
They should have brought white ones.
Oh.
Sorry, is that fucked up?
Oh my God, no.
I don't even know what color they were. That's fucked up.
Oh, that just sucks. Oh my God.
So obviously, bad gut feeling here. As to how this couple, like I said, gained entry into the home, one article said the front door was unlocked. One article said it was the back door. One article said that because the garage was located in the front of the house, that they looked through the windows on the top of the garage door or wherever they were located and saw what they saw and went into the home, and luckily it was unlocked because, I don't know. Either way, they had entry into the home, and this is when they made an unexpected and gruesome discovery. The lifeless body of 88-year-old Russell Dermond was on the ground in the garage between two cars. So that's why I say earlier, one source said that they peeked through the garage and saw his body and like walked in. Another source said they just kind of walked in and started calling out for Russell and Shirley and came across his body. So either way, it's fucked up. So
yeah.
What's more fucked up is that Russell had been decapitated.
What was his head there?
His head has not been found to this day.
Shut
Yeah.
No. Shut the...
And we'll get into maybe why that is and theories about why he was beheaded a little later. But it is kind of an important aspect of this case.
I can't stand. I can't stand when... Oh, I can't stand when killers do that. When they, like, don't give you the full body or they, like, fuck it. Why? Why would you take that? Oh. Why would you? So this isn't... It's clearly not, like, a fucking robbery gone wrong or something like that.
Right. And,
like...
This case is so frustrating because... Like I said, it's unsolved, and it's because we know what kind of crime it wasn't.
They had to have known that.
It's so much harder because,
or like a hitman, or it had like. There's no way that this couldn't have not been personal.
Well, it's because not only who, but the motive. It literally has been remained a complete mystery.
They don't even know why, like
the motive.
Well, I mean,
still
you make it
unclear.
seem.
I mean, there are certain details we've never known about the case, and that we don't know to this day, and that's certain pieces of evidence that and I'll get into it, but anyway, yeah, I could like rant off about it, but
yeah, I mean, I guess like you make it seem like this family isn't a family that divulges in sketchy side businesses or something that would like give them enemies or something like that.
And I'll tell you how much like they weren't really involved in crime or anything because so obviously the neighbors who discover Russell's body call 911 right away. The female is the one who makes the call in the show, in the episode that I watched on this case. They play clips of the 911 call so you can hear her literally telling the 911 dispatcher like, hey, I say verbatim of what she says, like, hey, I think we have a dead body here. And they say something like,
had she not seen the fucking head off of the body yet?
She said something how like they're at the Dermond's house because no one had seen them in 4 days, like they've been missing, and the 911 dispatcher asked how many bodies, and they just say one, and you hear the woman talk to like her husband and asking like it's just the one, searched? Or you just found him, right? And he's like, yeah, it's just one body. So
well, did they search the rest of the house before they...
Yeah, they went room to room calling out for Shirley and Russell. And like I said at the beginning, upon their entry, I don't know if they saw Russell's body right away and went straight to him and then began to search for Shirley, or if they walked into their home because the door was unlocked and they were concerned, and they went searching throughout the house and then came across Russell and then was like, where's Shirley? So It's unclear how exactly that went down. But they were definitely sweeping the house regardless, or trying to.
Oh my God.
I say sweep, like.
Damn.
But when police arrived, they had to identify Russell's body by fingerprints because his head could not be found, as I mentioned earlier.
Oh my God, yeah, they couldn't get dental records
Yeah,
or fucking ID. Oh my God.
Yeah, they could have used different methods, but I think they figured fingerprints would be faster.
I wouldn't even know what you would fucking use outside of dental or fucking...
Yeah.
Nope.
Any
I'm
kind
not gonna
like
figure it out.
tattoos.
Oh yeah. But like I have a tattoo on my toe.
If you have certain medical procedures done, they can match x-rays
Or like birthmarks.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it was assumed and suspected that the body was definitely Russell, but it's protocol to obviously ID it kind of officially. And
well, you just like you never
know.
Someone could be like fucking faking a death or something, you know, like
it could
some
be
crazy
a
ass
neighbor
shit
or something. Who knows?
Yeah, you just don't fucking know.
And Russell, wasn't in the system. His fingerprints weren't in the system, so they couldn't immediately match his fingerprints. They ended up, well, I don't know how immediate this happened, but they were able to get his fingerprints from the government because of his service in World War II, because they had his fingerprints on file, and that's what they matched them to. And so I just thought that was kind of cool. I don't know.
Well, that's good that they had him. Yeah, I wouldn't think about that.
Right.
But
if he didn't have that connection with, the military, otherwise he wouldn't be in the system. Maybe he wouldn't have been able to be identified right away.
Yeah.
But the community, the local neighborhood, they were floored by this. They were shocked and confused.
Oh, because I doubt a murder happens, let alone one of this fucking caliber.
Right. So the circumstances of these crimes are completely off the grid for this area, let alone, like they don't have murders like this, let alone how these were carried out.
Murders at all.
Police immediately get the help of the FBI, not only for the murder of Russell, but for his wife Shirley's whereabouts as well.
Oh shit!
Because we don't know where she is, dude. So people suspect immediately,
so
not when I say people, it's like police,
it's rumors.
Neighbors, anyone. They think she's kidnapped because her purse, her phone were still at the home. So people just immediately suspect that she was kidnapped because Russell's body was still there, like whatever. So shortly after
well, you don't think that an 80-something-year-old grandma could be capable of like decapitating her husband and then
no one ever suspected that she like committed the crime and ran off.
Or like fucking college sweetheart. Yeah, like,
if I were her.
I'm waiting for that turn, but I know it's not gonna happen. I'm like, calm down, Kristen, this is not where the story's going. Sorry, Shirley, I didn't do it. I'm just making a joke. Please don't haunt me.
Oh, dude. So, shortly after Russell's body was found, or almost immediately, I'm not really sure, that can mean anything, but the couple's children came to the home to help out and look for anything out of the ordinary. Anything out of place, anything that looked strange. And from the get-go, the police even noticed that there was no sign of a forced entry, no sign of a break-in, unless they missed something small like a window or something. But
now, well, I know that you had said either the front or the back door had been unlocked. Was it? And sorry, when was this case again? In the 90s?
2014.
Wow, sorry, I'm high.
And I'll mention about their home security a little later.
Well, was it common in the neighborhood to like leave doors unlocked? I mean, I know this is like $1 million, probably gated, probably secure, so it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal for them to leave it.
Probably locked their doors when they left, but when you're home,
if they were in
I
the home
imagine
like
they
they
would keep
were,
like their back door open, or even.
Yeah, so it could have been like someone snuck in, or it could have been that they knew them and just let them in.
Yeah, and a big theory we'll find out is that it's the latter.
Damn.
That it most likely was.
Dude, why is this unsolved? I'm gonna be thinking about this all night.
Howdy how, here we go. When Russell and
Shirley.
When Russell and Shirley's children, went through the house, they also confirmed that a robbery did not seem evident or plausible at all because, like I mentioned, there was no sign of a break-in, although sometimes there's not. Anyways, there was cash in the home, Rolexes, other pieces of super nice jewelry, and obviously, probably so many other things like electronics and who knows, like
it's
vases.
A fucking $1 million home.
So
fucking little fancy ass eggs. What do rich people have? I don't know.
When the episode I watched, basically all they said that was kind of out of place was a lamp, which I don't know. Doesn't seem too huge, but I thought I'd mention it because.
I mean, like, last time I checked, you can't behead someone with a lamp. At least, not that I've heard of.
No way, Jose.
Mm-mm.
Russell's autopsy revealed that he was not killed by the decapitation. It happened post-mortem.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Well, that's a good thing, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, and that definitely, like I mentioned earlier, his decapitation is an important element, and it'll come into play in some of the theories later. So just keep holding on to that one. Medical examiners could tell that he was decapitated post-mortem because there's a lack of arterial spurt, which I just think that's such a beautiful word, arterial spurt.
Right, the fucking for blood.
I don't know. So basically, if you're alive and you get your head cut off or you're beheaded, your heart's obviously pumping, so you're going to squirt a lot of blood. You have all your major arteries running through there. I
love the movie scenes when they do that.
If you get decapitated while you're dead, your heart's not pumping, so it's not as much of a mess, I guess you could say plainly.
Mm-hmm.
The way he had been decapitated also gave the impression that someone with a little or some experience likely did it, because there was a pretty clean cut. Like, it did the job in like a smooth, clean way, so.
Hitman. Surgeon. Oh my god, so many possibilities.
Yeah. Russell had another injury, just to note. It's not as bad as, or as gruesome as decapitation, but he had a smushed finger, like it was crushed on his left hand, so I don't know, it seems just kind of random, like one crushed finger.
But nothing else physical on his body?
He didn't seem super banged up or anything, not from what I read, but there was gunshot residue found on the collar of his shirt. So that will also come into play with some of the theories later. But at this point, no evidence of a gun is found. There's no gun shell casings, bullet casings.
Nothing.
Whatever.
Damn. Dude, where is Shirley?
Yeah. Just piggybacking off of what I just said, no murder weapon had not been found. Initially, they were looking at least for a machete-like object that could have been used in the decapitation of Russell, but they couldn't find anything out of the ordinary, anything, you know, like similar. So police swept for fingerprints, you know, they took samples of everything, they did the whole thing, but most of the DNA samples collected were either of the Dermonds or unidentifiable. And my research didn't really touch much on the unidentifiable stuff collected, so
yeah, as to, well, I'm sure,
but
like,
I think that comes into play later too. So
yeah, and if it's something big, I don't know if they would necessarily like tell the
and
public about it, you know.
I'll mention later how we don't know a bunch of everything, like certain evidence that was collected. And
yeah, I can imagine, especially if it's still unsolved,
yeah,
that we don't even know.
But, you know, also through their search throughout the house, there weren't any blood splatters or any kind of scene of a brutal attack or murder. They used luminol in the home, so they would have seen if it was clean, if it happened and it got cleaned up.
So they don't think that what was the husband's name again? I'm sorry.
Russell?
They don't think that Russell was killed in the garage where his body was found?
So in the theory later I'll describe what they think happened. But okay, so what I think, and I'll just say this right now because I won't give too much away. I think he was at least decapitated in the garage because there were two towels found next to his body that looked like, you know, they were placed to keep his blood from running under the garage door out into their driveway. So I think he was definitely decapitated there, at least. But we don't know. It's just like what we kind of find out later with Shirley and how things are presumed to play out. It's wild. Like, it really is a mystery. So we'll see what you think at the end. You tell me.
Yeah, damn, dude.
Also, when they used the luminol, they did find a spot on the floor of the garage near Russell's spot where his body was. And it looked like it had been, like the area had been wiped up or cleaned maybe. But I kind of maybe think, obviously, since they put towels down, they may have just, like, wiped a little bit and whatever. So I don't know if that's really, like, a major...
Yeah.
But the investigation, like, they immediately questioned, you know, everybody in the neighborhood, any kind of gardeners or yard
workers.
What are they
yardsmen?
Shit. Anyways,
lawnmower people.
Any of the contractors basically who had access to the neighborhood that were like there in the neighborhood that day, they questioned people, but they had no leads. But because they had no leads, they were kind of looking at close friends and family closely, because the motive at this point is still pretty unclear because of the shocking and gruesome murder of Russell so far. So, you know, and at this point, they are still looking for Shirley. We're still looking for her. There are billboards with her missing information on them, like electronic billboards with the information on them. The FBI, you know, they got involved very quickly. They put out flyers and a reward right away. They brought in cadaver dogs, and the lake was also obviously being searched, but all with no luck.
Damn.
This did leave a small glimmer of hope that she could be alive. Like, maybe she was just taken or kidnapped.
But then, like, no ransom note, no nothing. That, Damn. Yeah, it's so random. Like, what
It
the
seems
fuck?
so personal but random at the same time, which just doesn't make sense.
No sense at all.
Which is about to get more like senseless and random with the next part I'm about to get into, because just I'll note now, like, pay attention to Russell's remains and how his body was left / discovered compared to what I'll get into next. 10 days after Russell's body was found on May 16th, 2014, two fishermen were making their way down to the water on an area of Lake Oconee. Sorry, there's no H in there. I just say it like Oconee. Of an area of Lake Oconee. And they noticed something floating in like an upright position near a tree, also kind of near a buoy. And it didn't look like a buoy. It was definitely not a buoy because it was right next to one, like they could compare it. And the fishermen also noticed a very strong and unpleasant smell coming from whatever they saw.
Oh, no.
And they could notice clothing.
I don't know what that is.
So one of the men called 911 to report that he may have found a body. And he openly admitted to the 911 dispatcher that he did not want to go near it to verify, but he was pretty sure it was a body. What he saw bobbing in the water was, in fact, Shirley Dermond's body. Because the way he described it is like I said, she was floating up and down, but her head and shoulders were kind of in the water. But she was upright.
Yeah, that was such a... When you first described it, it really made me think that wasn't a body, because I don't really know of a body that would be naturally
Yeah, I think I remember
position.
him mentioning in the show, because the fisherman who discovered her body did speak in the show I watched, and I think I remember him saying something like, at first what he noticed, it almost looked like a milk jug or a water jug, gallon jug, like floating, the way it was maybe like pale, and it was probably like the back of her neck, that he saw or something. And so police responded right away, of course, and when her body was recovered, it was very badly decomposed. She was, bloated, obviously, with the smell, and she apparently looked super bruised and beat up as well. She was only about 5'2", and the results of the decomposition made her body about twice her normal size / weight.
Oh my god. Oh, yeah. The poor people that had to... Oh.
She was fully clothed. She even still had her shoes on. But her ankles had been tied with a rope. And on the bottom of the rope, there was a mesh bag with 2 cement blocks in them, to make her sink to the bottom of the lake. But whoever tied those cement blocks to her feet, I don't think really thought through the amount of weight needed to have that successfully done, because there were only 2...
That's why she was upright.
Yeah, there were only 2 30-pound blocks tied to her. So 60 pounds.
Yeah, that's not...
Sorry, I didn't convert that to ounces or...
yeah, whatever
kilograms,
whatever y'all use, it's not... I think, yeah, it's not ounces. It's something else. You're just a fucking stoner, and that's the shit that we use. It's so creepy though, because I'm so sorry, I do not remember the name of this fucking scary movie, but it sounds so much like this one movie, and I just keep thinking back to the scenes, and it's like this family is going to their lake house, and their neighbors have like these two cousins or whatever that are over, and they introduce themselves when they're at the house, and then they go to their lake house, and it's a mom, dad, and the son, and then the cousins come over. Well, it turns out it's not the cousins, they're just like
imposters,
or they're not cousins at all. Yeah, they're just two like random people basically like making their way through this rich neighborhood, attacking the families that live there. So like they killed that family, got into the house, and then like end up killing the son, end up shooting the dad, and then end up tying the mom up into the boat, and then they take her out into the middle of the lake and they put her in the lake. And it's just like so fucking, it's really like similar to this. It's like two brothers that go on and do it, and it's just totally random, no motive, no whatever, and it's like
holy shit,
the gruesome ways that they end up dying. And then the movie ends with them taking the boat after they dump the mom into the lake. They go off to the next house, to the next family, and do it all over again.
I wonder if it's true at all.
Well, makes me think of like shit, something like that happened. But because this is that's the thing about Unsolved, is like more times than not, it's really not where our mind goes with these like crazy stories. It's usually the simplest. Mm-hmm.
Like not that heavy, like of someone bouncing around and killing people, but just a certain topic.
But yeah, typically with mysteries, I always feel like it's more times than not the simplest answer, but our minds just tend to go to like the most extreme corners.
Yeah.
Of like what
Speaking of our minds going to the most extreme places, there was no evidence of Shirley being sexually assaulted. Just to note that, because it was noted in the research. So
that's good. Yeah, well, that's good. I also have kind of figured since she was fully clothed. Like, yeah.
A lot of sickos don't like redress their victims.
Yeah.
Anyways, the location where Shirley was found was about 5 or 6 miles from her home, kind of down and across the lake. So we don't find out exactly how she gets there. I'll just say that now. But
do we find out how long she had been in the water?
That exact information wasn't noted, but from the level of decay that was just described, I imagine it being the 10 days. Because in the theories later, it is theorized that Russell and Shirley died within minutes of each other, like at the same time. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So,
sorry
why?
if I spoiled it.
Then why take the?
So, I'll get into it. All right. So,
why take the body to the lake then?
So
many questions.
The water where she surfaced is said to have a depth of about 90 feet. And so apparently, like, obviously the weight of the cinder blocks weren't enough to hold her down there. And apparently, I think she kind of she surfaced and got caught on the tree she was found near or something. And
was it? I know that you said that they had been searching, obviously, the lake. Had they searched that area prior to her body being discovered?
I'm not sure. I think they must have, but I think maybe they were just doing a certain kind of search. They weren't diving down. I don't know if they were diving for bodies.
Yeah. I mean, I can completely understand them going into a lake and not finding a body, because Naya Rivera, R.I.P., like, it took them, when they searched, they weren't able to find her right away, so. But it's always like lakes and rivers and stuff like that. You just don't know if there are certain.
And that's why I did mention early on that they for sure searched the lake with no luck, because they did. And I will provide pictures of kind of like the location of where the Dermond family home was and where her body was found. And if there is more information on the areas that they searched, we'll include that. But Shirley's autopsy revealed that she had major blunt force trauma to the back of her head, with some of the distinct markings being semicircular. There was 3 distinct semicircular markings. So this gave the impression that a hammer-like object was used.
That's what I was going to say.
So it's important to notice the contradictions that are found within the violent acts committed against both Russell and Shirley, because, Kristen, that's what the road different. You were going down. I felt it. Because of the way their bodies were discovered, of the decapitation on Russell. So Russell's murder,
the beating on
his decapitation, you know, it seemed precise. It was
sorry, can I throw a theory out here?
Do you want to do it now or until after I state?
And then I'll throw it.
Because I know you're just going to say one of the theories I have. So.
But just say it. Just say it.
Unless you want to say it and, like, see if you're right. That'd be fine.
I feel like Shirley was, or I feel like Russell was not the intended victim here. It's weird because he was decapitated, but how it seems, so obviously there was gunshot residue. It seems like he was shot in the head and then decapitated after death. The gunshot makes it seem not so personal, but with Shirley, it's like she was fucking beat. She was, like, put off into the lake and fucking tied. I mean, so intimate. It's just like she really seemed to be like the true victim here, I guess, if you want to look at an intended target. But then again, like, I literally, like I said, just watched a movie where these 2 random people came in and just, like, totally randomly did it. So I'm like, oh my god, is this like a random case, or is this freaking people intimate? Did they know?
So I appreciate your theory, because it's not one that I have listed. Yeah. Nice. So, but you do have a good point, just with how different their murders were. So,
yeah,
it plays into the theories for show.
It just seems like Shirley, I know you probably say that they were killed within minutes of each other. I don't know if she was shot or anything, but it just makes it seem like she was kept alive a lot longer than Russell.
She was not shot, and the reason why they think that investigators, you know, think that they died either together or within a very short time of one another is because a few strands of Shirley's hair were found, like, in Russell's hand. Like, so, and there's another thing I'll mention that really, I think, solidifies maybe one of my theories. So, or maybe I already mentioned it, I forgot. But anyways, so, you know, I was talking about contradictions in the crimes, and it kind of seemed, because of the precision of Russell's decapitation, that his murder seemed a little more careful. You know, they took time to place towels around his body to keep the blood from running under the garage door. There was the gunshot residue, so if there was shooting going on, they, you know, didn't leave behind a weapon. They didn't leave any bullet shells or shell casings. While with Shirley, it seemed like almost a greater risk was taken to dump her body, as well as, like, the light weight they used to try and make her sink. Like, it kind of seemed like not as careful.
Amateur. Yeah. But then you're trying to say that the head slice was
exactly.
Professional.
So my next bullet point is...
It's like, are they doing it to throw you off?
Right.
Like,
so literally my next bullet point is that there's evidence of both an experienced and or unexperienced person or persons who committed these murders.
It definitely seems like it was probably either 2 people or you're having a type of instance where maybe
One person's,
one
like, rushing
killed,
and-
you're seeing them cool, you're seeing them calculated, and then the second you're seeing them panicked, you're seeing them maybe having
Like,
some
they're
kind
different
of break.
moods and phases
Yeah.
within.
There's
yeah.
a switch of like,
That's a good
I've
point.
actually killed someone. Yeah, something's happening. Like now the panic is setting in. Okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
It seems really it's either two people or it's a break, but it just really doesn't seem like I could imagine the same person doing two such different killings in such a short amount of time.
No, neither.
Because even serial killers, they have motive.
Yeah.
They typically have they stick to a theme.
Exactly. And so this makes investigators believe that there may be more than one person involved in this because
Yeah.
of a few things. I don't know, because some of the theories, I don't know. So during the investigation, it was important to note or wonder where the killings exactly took place. Was Shirley killed in their home? Probably not, because there wasn't a scene in the home that showed evidence of the brutal beating that happened to Shirley. Like I said, they used luminol.
And you said that there was maybe a small mess in the garage that they cleaned up with luminol, but not enough that would make me think that Russell was shot there. Like you said, maybe decapitated,
right.
but
so
it's just so odd.
It's just something odd. It's just another kind of mystery in this because we really don't get any more details about I don't know, did it happen outside? But they never gave details on if they found any kind of blood evidence outside or anything.
For luminol.
So if Shirley's death happened in her home, there would have been evidence, at least such as blood splatter. I just really don't think they would have time to clean any of that up to such precision and then leave Russell's body. So,
so Shirley was killed with blunt force. Was it am I thinking blunt force to the
trauma,
head?
yes, to her head. The back of her head is where those,
okay.
Where she suffered. Basically, her cause of death was blunt force
Most
trauma with those 3 major impact marks were of those semicircles.
It's just to kill one with a gun and then for you to be up close and personal blowing blows the second. It's so different. It really doesn't seem like the same. Maybe if you're a hitman and you're just a fucking animal,
to each his
and
own
you
murder weapon. I'll use my gun, you use your hammer.
You just grab whatever.
That's why I think it was at least 2 people. So that's part of my theory. I'll spoil again. So
it makes me feel more at ease to think that it's 2 people because I don't want to think of the. I don't want to think of the mindset of someone who is capable of doing 2
I mean, I could think of maybe someone okay, what if I'll say this at the end as my theory.
Okay.
So remember, the Dermond home is located in a gated community. It has its own security, at the gate, waving people through, but also I'm sure they have the kind that drive around as well. I'm not positive, but they definitely have the kind at the gate. So one question, that investigators asked is, did the killer or killers have access to the neighborhood? Because residents had window decals, to put on their car for the neighborhood, and they would get waved through the security gate without having to stop to talk to them. But local electricians, plumbers, etc., all had stickers as well, and so they had access. You would also get waved through the gate if you were to say that you were having lunch or attending something at like the neighborhood country club, because they had their own little club thing.
And the night that they fucking went missing, there was an event.
What?
The night that they went missing, there was a party going on.
But it wasn't at the country club. It was at a house.
Oh,
Like, if you're going to someone's house, and yeah, you'd have to like definitely get approval from the resident. It's like the Dominion. Obviously, at the security gate at the front of the neighborhood, there are also security cameras that usually gets good pictures of, you know, faces and license plates. But guess what?
It wasn't working that night.
At the time of these murders, they weren't working because a storm knocked either like the cameras themselves out or the power for the cameras to work or whatever.
I wonder if the killer knew
and that's a big question also, and that's something we still don't know. That's my little, I have a little dash. Is it luck, question mark, that this happened?
Yeah,
did the killers know? Did they even know that they weren't working, or did they?
Or just fucking happenstance that like someone just decided to be nice and not let you get caught. What the fuck? Dude, so many lineups. Yeah. It's just what the fuck.
The Dermond home also had its own security system. Not cameras, but a security system. But at that time, it either wasn't on, you know, it wasn't set, or they didn't have it connected or something. I didn't get exact details, but basically what I gathered is that it wasn't on. So another question to ask ourselves is, what if the killer or killers used the neighborhood's back entrance, aka the lake? Because the Dermond's home was waterfront access. In their backyard, they had the lake with a boat dock and everything.
Oh, shit.
Goals.
That's
where
is
my
goals.
I
want lakefront.
But did this bite them in the ass? I don't know. Their house was kind of tucked away, like not super far back in the neighborhood, but back enough in the neighborhood where it's not really like you could just go in and stumble upon it. The home didn't have any signs of a break-in, like I've mentioned, and this led investigators to believe that Russell and Shirley may have known the person or people that murdered them. It seemed personal and obviously not like a robbery. And they gathered that it could have been motivated by money, although like no money was missing, all their accounts were good, their wills were good, they had safety deposit boxes that were checked and they were all good. So still that motive is still up in the air. So
were there any like bad business deals? Was like drugs? Was someone having an affair? I mean, like, what the fuck?
I'll describe something a little bit about that stuff in a minute, you know, about like, because the family did get looked into, most definitely, because that's one of the first go-tos is,
people that
you
they
know,
look
like
at.
insurance money or whatever. So like I said, investigators kind of assumed that it was motivated by money, although they didn't have substantial evidence of that. The Dermonds weren't flashy and didn't flaunt their money, but they did have money. Like I mentioned, they had like Rolexes and shit. So
yeah, these things.
Investigators had no real leads, so at this point, like I mentioned, they're looking into everybody, especially close family and neighbors. They were all definitely suspects, not like prime suspects, but suspects. Russell and Shirley's 3 adult children were cleared pretty quick though, because they all had alibis which checked out. They all took polygraph tests and passed, which is a lie detector test. And overall, the motive even if they didn't know exactly the motive, the circumstances of everything, of the murders of their parents, it wouldn't add up for it to be one of their children, because their motives would have been like money, basically, or like, I don't know, passion, where you don't go through, like, the circumstances just don't add up. And they were cleared. So even though the 3 children they were all adults at this point. So like I said, Russell and Shirley had 9 grandchildren, so their children are adults with their own kids. And although their children had been cleared, the police still kind of dug and searched for any kind of other information or clues from within the family that could have led to this happening, whether it be familial or outside of the family. But they just wanted to dig a little deeper, just to uncover any possible additional motives or reason why the family could have been involved or not involved. So we do find out that 14 years before Russell and Shirley's murder, their oldest son, Mark, was murdered during a drug deal gone bad.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, of course, investigators wonder if this drug deal gone bad created any kind of bad blood or enemies wanting revenge, but it really didn't lead anywhere, because...
What, was it just the son that got murdered? Or
Mark was a drug user. He was not a dealer, and he got murdered while he was attempting to buy drugs. And the person who killed him was apprehended. And so, although a sad tragedy, it was not connected. They found no, connections from that, so...
Damn.
At one point, police wonder if there was a serial killer on the loose, because shortly after the murders of the Dermonds, or around the same time, a few very similar murders happened, actually. But I'm mentioning right now one that happened in Texas, where a man was shot and beheaded and his head was never found.
Dude, it's the fucking brothers from that movie. That's,
but it ended up not being connected. The show I watched, I didn't put this in my notes because I couldn't remember where it happened, but whatever, I'll mention it because it is kind of weird. How also around the same time or shortly after the Dermonds' murder, there was a similar murder where the wife of a franchisee of McDonald's, he was like one of the main big dudes who owned a shit ton of McDonald's. I think maybe he had already passed away. Like, it didn't mention anything about him. I don't know if he was alive or dead, but it didn't say. But basically, she was found bludgeoned to death in her home by a fire extinguisher. But the man in that case was actually arrested, and it ended up having no connection. So a lot of weird things are going on at the same time. So it pans out to not being related when at first, people think they are. And I mentioned the sheriff's name later who works on this case from day one. And he really dedicated himself to checking out every lead, every tip, and just really, really trying to solve this case. So,
yeah.
Police were able to gather a timeline because apparently Russell was seen on May 1st, 2014 at his bank and at the Publix, which is a grocery store kind of, and I think they have a pharmacy and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That next day, Friday, May 2nd, 2014, a newspaper was delivered to their home, and it was inside their house, when police were there initially. Mm-hmm. It was inside.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that same day on Friday morning, An email was sent to Russell by one of his children, and that email had been opened. So that next day, Saturday, May 3rd, 2014, was the day of the neighborhood Kentucky Derby party that they didn't attend. And that was, in the evening. And I don't think anybody saw them during the daytime. So it's sometime between Friday morning and sometime Saturday where some shit went down.
Dude.
Russell and Shirley didn't seem to have any enemies. I mean, they lived their quiet life, enjoying their life on the lake, their retired life on the lake for the past 10 plus years. They seemed the least likely to be a target of random. So some theories even started to include, what if it was the mob? Because before moving to Georgia, like in the 80s, they were from New Jersey. And with the decapitation of Russell, they were just like, what if it was the mob? But
just because you're from New Jersey doesn't
right.
mean you're part of the mob.
So this theory is found ridiculous, of course, by the children of Russell and Shirley. Because the family has no criminal enterprise ties or history of any kind, of any sketchy behavior whatsoever. Seemingly, like from what I found in my research.
For what we know, yeah. I mean, like, there could be one big dark secret that we just, like, don't know because we're just not going to be able to find out.
And a lot of these theories and
for
stuff,
the most
like,
part,
they really are just theories because it's still such a mystery and we still don't know everything that the police has. And so, we ask ourselves, why the fuck did this happen? Was it to send a message? Was it shock value?
Yeah.
Was it revenge? Was it there could be so many possibilities. At one point, an FBI profiler came in and they concluded, this isn't all they concluded, I'm sure, but this is just one thing I found. They concluded that the killer, I'm assuming they're regarding whoever decapitated Russell, is that they most likely enjoyed hunting and using knives. But the sheriff on the case mentioned, okay, that's 95% of this community, LOL, we're in Georgia.
Yeah,
so
like, fuck off.
He didn't say LOL, I did.
But, like, give us something
yeah.
more useful.
So, remember, there was gunshot residue found on Russell's shirt collar. So, a theory is that he was shot in the head and decapitated to rid the evidence.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that that's what happened.
Same, because although they took time to kind of clean up, his body was left there. There's no shell casings, but they put the towels down. But this is also where a theory comes in, where I kind of agree with, is that police were thinking that Russell's body was originally not meant to be left and found in the garage, that it was maybe supposed to be taken with Shirley and be dumped in the lake as well, but maybe something happened to where the killer was in a rush or whatever, they had to dip out, and so they decapitated the head to hide the potential bullet evidence. And I kind of agree with that theory.
Why would you hide a bullet evidence with a decapitation? Or I guess, like, you don't want the bullet
can be
to
linked,
be traced.
to what kind of gun it was.
But really, if you're going to commit a gun, you're going to have a gun that can be traced. Or, like, you're going to use a bullet that can be traced.
I'll piggyback my theory on top of this, because I do kind of agree with parts of both, like, of what I've mentioned. So Shirley wasn't shot. I'm thinking maybe she was gardening or something and someone didn't want to shoot her because that would alert Russell of commotion. And when he finally, like, he maybe came out through the garage, but see, if Russell was shot in the garage, there would be blood splatter, and there wasn't. And so this is why I asked the question earlier, where were they killed?
Yeah, and it's, if you don't want to do, well, we don't know what time they were killed or anything like that, but I mean, like, why wouldn't you then just hit Russell over the head? Why, if it's within minutes of each other, hit Shirley over the head and then drop whatever you hit her with, pull out a gun, and then shoot Russell? It makes no sense. Like,
or like they were killed at the same time, and there were two killers. So one chose a gun, one you know, what if Shirley was hit in the head with a hammer first and was dying on the floor, and Russell, like, grabbed her, and that's why he had her hair in his hand?
Yeah, because, I mean, like, I get that Oh, it was her blood in his hand?
No, like, where was the mess of her being bludgeoned? Like, where was she killed?
Oh, yeah, no.
It just leaves so many holes.
Whenever you said that Shirley's hair was in Russell's hand, like, I understand how it got there, but I don't think that necessarily means that right there proves that they died within minutes of each other. It just means that, like, maybe potentially Russell had died first, and it was...
Oh, well, yeah. That makes sense.
Like... So it's just, like, there are so many holes, I think, that we could put in every theory that it just, like, nothing really 100% makes sense. It doesn't,
because from how it wasn't a robbery, no breaking and entering, how brutally they were both killed, and how differently they were both killed.
Yes.
Ugh, so obviously this is why police can infer these possibilities. But without more evidence, they were left with just mysteries and questions. Nothing. The killer or killers knew enough to access the home and execute the murders in such a way, which is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, that their fucking licenses.
Throughout the investigation, we do hear of a witness account, which becomes pretty huge, but, like, not super huge. The day of the Kentucky Derby party, a neighbor a few houses down from the Dermonds saw someone in the Dermond yard. They just saw kind of like a figure that I guess they knew obviously it wasn't either Russell or Shirley, but didn't think of anything like out of the ordinary. But after the fact, they, told police about it. Unfortunately, this witness couldn't give any major details about the person, such as race, facial features. I don't even think they could, like, tell exactly what kind of clothing they were wearing.
Yeah.
But I think they were kind of, like, covered. I don't know. They could kind of tell that it was most likely a man because of how they walked. So the timing of this made police think that this witness definitely saw the killer, or at least one person involved in the killings that day. But unfortunately, there was nothing else to go off of. Like I mentioned earlier in the investigation, they interviewed people in the neighborhood and workers and people who had security cameras in their homes or other security cameras in the neighborhood. They checked and nothing, like, was found. So this eyewitness account gave hopeful insight, but like I said, it didn't lead to much.
Yeah.
So, even more unfortunately, the past 7 years, this case would continue to go unsolved, but not cold. Like I mentioned, we're still left with a huge, big, and why. The sheriff that I have referred to a couple times above without saying his name is Sheriff Howard Sills of the Putnam County Police Department. And he has been actively working on the case since day one. He's local. He knows, all about the lake, the community, and so he's played a big part in. He's mentioned how he's has a really good record of solving murder cases too. So this one being unsolved has been just one of those cases for him where he never goes a day without thinking about it to this day, But investigators are still a little optimistic because here we are 7 years later with a possible new lead.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's like nothing crazy, but it's a step.
But still, yeah, it's something. What is it?
As of earlier this year, in May of 2021, a new evidentiary avenue started being pursued. We don't have details on what kind of evidence is being pursued, but Sheriff Sills said that it is valuable and that he is trying to obtain data of highly technical nature that I believe will be fruitful.
Wow, good for him. Good for all the hard work he's been doing for the case.
So he has put in a lot of hard work. Like I said earlier, he really worked hard on following through on leads and tips, and he has mentioned how throughout the years, they have had evidence go into new technology and it hasn't panned out, and he says maybe even this time it won't pan out, but they have to try. So
yeah, that's all they can do.
And like I said, very little details, but basically the newer technology we have today is being used on evidence from back then to help them zero in on a suspect or suspects. So hopefully the Dermond family will receive closure soon.
I really hope we can give an update on this case.
That's my next part, is that we will possibly have an update, but we'll see. So a little bit, just to close it on Shirley and Russell. In her later years, Shirley enjoyed gardening, doing crossword puzzles, and playing bridge. I think she would go to those weekly, bridge games with her friends because the week of her death she had gone to one.
Oh.
Russell was a veteran who fought in World War II, an avid golfer, and he was known to his friends as Russ. Friends described the couple as delightful, loved by everyone, with a wonderful sense of humor and fun to be with. Russell and Shirley's children are left with the memories of their parents and have remained hopeful yet realistic on receiving justice for their parents. So obviously they want it to happen, but
rough.
They're realistic that unless literally someone knows something and they come forward, or they have breakthrough DNA analysis technology findings, then
it's gonna remain the same. Yeah, that's why if you fucking know something, just fucking say it, man. It's not that hard. You just say it. Just open your lips.
If you have any information about the Dermond murders, aka Russell and Shirley Dermond, contact Putnam County Sheriff's Office at 706-485-8557, or you can leave a tip on their website. And that was the murder on the lake with no leads.
Sarah. Oh my god. I don't think I've heard that story. If I have, I literally don't remember it. That was so insane. I cannot believe that this is unsolved. I
really hope we're close.
Yeah. Wow. Because
honestly, also, the pictures you see of them.
I know. Literally, stock
and if
photo
they're 88
of
and 87 in some of these pictures, I hope to look that good at that age, because they
were
kicking, dude.
Wow. Wow. I'm putting it out there. We're going to give an update on this case.
Mark my
I'm
words.
manifesting it. I'm manifesting. I'm trying it out. Everyone always raves about it. Let's try it out. Wow, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you. Damn. Cheers to me not sleeping tonight because I'm about to read every detail and fucking try and solve this case.
Cheers to living on a lake someday.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Oh, that's goals. Yes, please live on a lake so then I can
Kind
like
of cheer to
build a
something
little
actually
hut right
like
next to you.
manifesto and positive.
Yeah, right. Oh man. Okay, guys. Well, please be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, that's it.
At RARW Podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, hey.
Until next time, guys. Have a good one and bye.